I wanted to wait like a day or so because I wanted to give this game time to really sit in. It's still painful. Like, I woke up this morning really frustrated, really pissed. And I guess that's the beauty of sports because there are a lot of highs, there are a lot of lows. But yesterday's game between Texas and Arizona State, it's probably up there for me in regards to most painful losses I can remember. Now, full disclosure, I've only been an Arizona State fan for the last 8 years. I started going to Arizona State in 2016. I graduated in 2019. Obviously, during this 8-year run, Arizona State hasn't been all that great, so there haven't really been many great games that I could be really disappointed in. But I'm a Dodgers fan, I'm a Clippers fan, which I know living in Los Angeles, that's really controversial, but I grew up a Clippers fan, and I'm also a New Orleans Saints fan. Now, being a Saints fan, I've had my fair share of heartbreaking losses over the last decade. There's been plenty of them. Being a Dodgers fan, there have been plenty of heartbreaking postseason exits. But yesterday's Arizona State game, for some reason, maybe because I'm an alum and I just have this special connection to this team, the university I went to, but yet for some reason this loss has been extra painful, more painful than I could have imagined, and I think it's mainly because of the way this game transpired. Now, watching this game, it looked like Arizona State was going to get blown out. I thought, honestly, they were going to lose by 20, maybe 30 points the way things were looking in the first quarter. But after, the first 7-8 minutes of that first quarter, Arizona State was the better team. They looked a whole lot better than Texas did. Now, Arizona State had plenty of chances to win. They didn't do it. They lost the game. But after what we saw happen yesterday, now, if you watched the game, you know exactly where I'm going to go with this. If you didn't watch the game, you might have heard about this on social media, or this might be actually the first time you're hearing about this at all. Arizona State had the game robbed from them. Arizona State should have been given an opportunity to win this game, and they weren't. Now, I'm not really into conspiracies or anything like that. I know people have their crazy college football, sports conspiracy theories and all that kind of stuff. But after what transpired yesterday, and after everything we've seen come out from former players, former coaches, people in the media, it's hard to really argue that Arizona State did not get absolutely screwed in yesterday's contest. Now, I think you all know where I'm going to be going with this, but we're going to go to the fourth quarter. There's about a minute and a half left. It's third and long, and there is a play that any college football fan watching this game immediately thinks is targeting. I mean, the wide receiver looked like he just got concussed. It looked like he got knocked into next week. He's not moving on the ground. You go to the replay, and he gets the absolute shit knocked out of him. Helmet to helmet, boom, that is targeting. But yet for some reason, the referees, they didn't call targeting immediately. I'm thinking, where's the flag? How is this not targeting? They're showing the replay numerous times, nothing. Then the official comes out, he says the play is under review for targeting. I don't know who the analyst they had in the booth that's like the former referee that knows everything about, officiating. He says right there, this is targeting. He's a defenseless player. This is helmet to helmet. I mean, you see the hit clear as day. That is targeting. And yet, for some reason, it was not ruled targeting. Fourth down, Arizona State has to punt the ball. Now, I will say this. There is no guarantee that Arizona State goes on to win this game, but they definitely are in the driver's seat to do so. After the targeting call, Arizona State would have been on the 35-yard line. Now, Arizona State has a lot of issues in the kicking game. Kicking a 45, 50-yard field goal, that's far from a guarantee. But the way ASU was moving in that fourth quarter over the last couple of drives, I don't think they're getting stuffed to the 35. They're going to be picking up yards, and there's a realistic chance that Arizona State, they probably could have scored a touchdown the way the momentum was in that game. But at the very least, I definitely think Arizona State is at least getting one more first down. They're moving the ball to at least the 25-yard line, and then you have a 37, 38-yard field goal. Again, it's no guarantee. But Arizona State, they should have been given that chance at kicking the field goal as time expired. Being a Saints fan, unfortunately, this brings me back to that Rams game a couple years ago in the NFC Championship. There was that missed flag that should have given the Saints an opportunity to kick a field goal as time expired. And again, they could have missed the field goal. They did have their chance in overtime, and they failed. But they should have been given that opportunity to kick that field goal as time expired, just like Arizona State should have been given the opportunity to kick the field goal yesterday as time expired. Now, immediately, a lot of people are saying you can't have a play like that determine a game. And I think that's a load of BS. Why, even if you have an obvious targeting call, can you just say, you know what, we're going to swallow the whistle. We cannot let this determine the game. I mean, there's no difference of a targeting call in the first or second quarter. It's still going to be an impactful call. I think using the argument to swallow your whistle and let the game play out is absolutely stupid. And anyone that argues that, you don't know college football, that's a dumb take, and you really need to reconsider what you think is right. Because it doesn't matter if there's 1 minute left in the game or if there's 2 minutes left in a week 2 matchup against an FCS opponent. If there is a targeting call, you need to call the targeting call. Now, going back earlier to the conspiracy theories I was talking about, I don't like to buy too much into them. I know people get really, really invested in those. But if you were to tell me that if the roles were reversed, if Texas was driving in this game, and a hit like this happened to a Texas player, if you're going to sit there and tell me with a straight face that the refs are not going to call targeting on Arizona State to benefit Texas, you're crazy. College football, whether we like it or not, these blue blood teams and these higher tier conferences, they get the benefit of the doubt. It just happens. There have been a number of games I've watched this year where there has been a play that doesn't necessarily look like targeting, or it doesn't necessarily look like pass interference, but it benefits the higher team. It happens. If Texas would have been on the receiving end of this would have been a targeting call 100%. I mean, just think about this for a second. You have two teams in Texas and Arizona State, both having fantastic seasons. Who do you think college football as a whole would rather have playing in the next round? Do you think they would rather have an Arizona State team? Now, I will say Arizona State fans, they showed out yesterday in Georgia. They showed out. I didn't think they would put that many fans in the stands, but they did a fantastic job. But do you think that the college football playoff higher-ups want Arizona State playing in the Cotton Bowl, 1 win away from going to the national championship? Or do you think they would rather have Texas playing at Cowboy Stadium in Dallas? I mean, think about that for a second. Do you really think there isn't more that goes into that? Or what about Texas being the SEC team compared to Arizona State being the Big 12 team? You know how college football and the SEC have this brand new contract that's given them millions and millions of dollars to broadcast SEC games on ABC and ESPN when they were on CBS for such a long time? Yeah, do you think they'd rather have an SEC team or a Big 12 team? Which team do you think is going to draw more eyes to the screens next week? I love my Arizona State Sun Devils, but Texas is going to draw millions and millions more in that Cotton Bowl matchup. And it's not just me that thinks Arizona State got absolutely screwed by this non-call. You have Terry McCullough, who is an NBC rules analyst. You've seen him on every Sunday Night Football game. He tweeted out saying, clearly, this was a targeting foul. You have Gene Steratore, who if you watched any NFL game at any point you've seen him pop up on your screen, well, he tweeted saying, my phone has been burning up all morning. Yes, this should have been a flag for targeting. It meets all the criteria of targeting. So you have these top two rules analysts who are paid the big bucks because they know what they're talking about when it comes to this kind of thing, and they both said it's a no-brainer. They didn't come out and tweet, it's kind of iffy, I could see it going either way. Both of these guys who are paid to know everything about the rules, they both came out and said this is easily targeting. Last night on the Scott Van Pelt show, now I will say Scott Van Pelt, I think he's probably at the top when it comes to most trustworthy journalists, especially working in the media field today. So I take a lot of stock into what he has to say. Well, he clearly thought it was targeting as well.
Whatever, I don't care who it is. That's targeting 100 times out of 100. It wasn't in this case.
And here's also what Dusty Voracek had to say about it as well.
But I thought it was targeting in the moment. I picked up the phone. I made a few phone calls. I talked to Bill Lamagna, who I think is one of the absolute best, works for us, ESPN, ABC, as a rules expert. And he said verbatim, it's an offenseless player. There was an upward thrust indicator, forcible contact to the head or neck area. It's targeting. And so we heard Matt Austin on the call. He thought it was targeting. We go through these seminars and before the season as analysts that call games, and we're always looking at different plays. That looked to me to be letter of the law, targeting.
Look at this tweet from Terrell Owens, watching this ASU-Texas game and just watched a textbook targeting play get reviewed and determined by the review booth that it wasn't. I'm really beginning to think that the games are rigged. Compared that hit to a lot of targeting hits throughout the year, and I've seen less get upheld. So again, it's not just me that has this conspiracy theory out here. All these big name people in college football, in football as a whole, they're coming out and they're saying this was clearly rigged. One team benefited while the other team got completely screwed. And the crazy thing is, it wasn't just Arizona State getting screwed on this one play. There were a number of plays throughout the game in which Arizona State really didn't get the benefit of the whistle. Earlier in the game, there was a Quinn Ewers touchdown run on 3rd and goal, and there was a clear hold on one of Texas' offensive linemen. A clear hold. I mean, I saw this happen in real time and I thought that looked like a hold. And then I saw a replay and I thought, that's even worse than I thought. It didn't go called. Then earlier in the game when Texas returned a punt for a touchdown, there was a clear and obvious block in the back and the referees just swallowed their whistle. Those are 3 insanely impactful plays. I mean, you have one that could have won the game for ASU, you had one that resulted in a touchdown, and you had another that resulted in a touchdown. 3 times that a flag should have been called, and it wasn't. Again, I know Arizona State had their chances to win this game. The one that's going to haunt me for the rest of my life is the 4th and 13 play call. If they get just one stop, they win this game. For some reason, I don't know who made the final say, they decide to blitz. They shouldn't have done that. They should have just been blocking the end zone. If you allow a first down, you allow a first down. Arizona State should have won the game on that play, and they didn't. I get it. They blew their chances to win this one. But the fact that it came down to the referees swallowing their whistle and letting an egregious targeting call happen, it's just unacceptable, and it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking for Arizona State because this was an insane game. And the thing that's even worse about this, Arizona State was missing their best player on defense in this game in the first half. And the reason for that is because he got ejected in the second half of the Iowa State game, the Big 12 championship, for a targeting call. Now, if you watch that targeting call, it is no different than the non-targeting call that happened in yesterday's game. So if the hit that he laid against Iowa State a couple weeks ago was in fact targeting, well, then it should have been called yesterday. Or if the one that wasn't called yesterday is in fact not targeting, then it should not have been ruled targeting in the Iowa State game, and he should not have missed the first half of this game. Nobody knows what targeting is, and that is a major issue in football right now. There has to be some clear rule, because it seems like every targeting we see is different. Now, I know that the whole point of the rule was to protect the players from these egregious and dangerous hits. Now, there are times, I get it, plays are happening so fast, you're not trying to intentionally hurt a player, you're not trying to go helmet to helmet. But we have to protect these players, and this Arizona State player yesterday, he was defenseless, he wasn't protected, and he got the absolute wind knocked out of him. Now, I haven't seen any update, I don't know if he got a concussion, I don't know how he's doing, but he was knocked out cold from a dirty hit. Every slow-mo angle you see of this, it was a dirty hit, it's targeting. But yet, for some reason, the referees in this game, they decided not to call targeting. And I think it just further shows that the NCAA or whoever's calling the shots, they made the call down and they said, you cannot have this game come down to this targeting play and you got to play it out. Because again, Arizona State, they get the ball on the 35-yard line. Anything can happen. They could fumble it. They could turn it over. They can miss the field goal. We go to overtime. But Arizona State did not get the opportunity they deserved to go down the field in the final minutes and have a chance to kick a field goal or even score a touchdown to win this game. And yeah, as an Arizona State alum, I mean, if you guys have been watching my videos all season, back in week 1 and week 2, when I was doing my weekly top 25 videos, I was talking about this Arizona State team and how good they are. Now, there were a lot of comments saying, you're biased towards Arizona State, get them out of the top 25. I got that on a week-to-week basis. But every week, I kept trying to tell people this Arizona State team, they are legit. I mean, the Sun Devils were missing their best wide receiver in Jordan Tyson. They were missing their best defensive player in the first half. And yet, they went toe-to-toe with Texas. They honestly could have won by a lot more. I mean, once Arizona State got in the red zone, I don't know what happened. They just turned into a terrible team. But this defense really held their own against Texas's offense. I mean, I think there was some stat that, like, with 5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, Cam Scadaboo had more yards total than Texas did as a team. Arizona State played a hell of a game. There were a lot of costly plays that really hurt them in the end. But what happened through the first 58 and a half minutes, they did everything they could to give themselves a chance to win this game. And the referees, they swallowed their whistle, an egregious non-targeting call, and it screwed them. Cam Scadaboo, I don't remember the last time I saw a player on a losing team receive the MVP of that game. He was the MVP of that game. I don't know if a lot of people know this because they didn't see the post-game, celebration or anything. Cam Scadaboo was the MVP of the Peach Bowl. He ran for 150 yards and had 2 touchdowns. He caught 8 passes for 100 yards. He threw a 40-yard passing touchdown. This was one of the greatest single-game performances I've ever seen, not just in college football, but in football as a whole. I mean, I don't remember ever seeing a player throwing a 40-yard touchdown, running for 150 and 2, and catching 100 yards through the air. This is one of the greatest single-game performances we've ever seen. The dude clearly wasn't healthy. He was on the sidelines between plays, throwing up. They were having to give him IV fluids. He wasn't 100% at all, but this was still one of the greatest games I've ever seen. And yet, it's all for naught because Arizona State lost this game because they got screwed by the referees. I mean, it's heartbreaking. I'm going to be sick for a while. Like I said, it's 24 hours later, and I'm still heartbroken over this because Arizona State, they were one play away from playing in the semifinals, one win away from going to the national championship. A bad defensive play on 4th and 13, some bad play calling in the first half definitely screwed them, but Arizona State, they should have had the ball on the 35-yard line with 1 minute left. They should have been able to run out the clock, and they should have been able to kick a field goal as time expires. Unfortunately, because they were playing Texas, because Texas plays in the SEC, because the next game is going to be played at Cowboy Stadium in Dallas, Texas, Arizona State, they did not get that opportunity, and it really sucks. It's a painful loss because I'm proud of Arizona State as a team because this is the best team that I've seen since I became a fan in 2016. But I know for a fact that Arizona State, they're probably not going to be in this situation for a while. Sure, there's a chance that they're going to be able to reach the college football playoff next year, a couple years from now, but I don't think that they are going to be in the quarterfinals already, and I don't think they're going to be one player, one drive away from advancing to the semifinals. Now, if they are, then clearly Kenny Dillingham has turned this team around for good, and this is a perennial powerhouse. But I would be genuinely shocked if Arizona State comes this far anytime within the next 10 years. In my group chat yesterday, I said I don't see Arizona State making it to the Final Four anytime in the next 25 years. Now, I'll be pleasantly surprised if they somehow make it there, but as we've seen in college football, very rarely do we see one of these non-blue blood powered teams reach the Final Four, the Final Two. It just doesn't happen. This, I think, was Arizona State's best chance, their best opportunity, and unfortunately, they just got screwed. So hopefully Arizona State moving forward is going to continue to build a really good team. Hopefully they're going to be a playoff team for years and years to come. But I will personally be surprised if they make it this far anytime in the close future. So as you guys can tell, I'm still really bummed by this. I'm sure all the college football fans watching this video, you have had your fair share of games where you have just been let down. It's been heartbreaking. You have felt really, really depressed following the game. But I think also because this is the first time really, and again, in my Arizona State fandom, we've been even remotely this good with a chance to even advance this far. I think that's what stings the most because a team like Texas, if they would have lost this game, so be it. You're probably going to be in the playoffs next year. You're probably going to be competing for championships on a year-to-year basis. Arizona State, we just don't know if that's going to be the case. So that's why I think it hurts a little more because I don't know when the next chance is going to be for us to advance to the semifinals in the college football playoff rankings. So for those of you out there, if you're an Arizona State fan, let me hear it. Let me hear your thoughts in the comments below. Let me know how you're doing. We're all in this together. We're all going through this as one. This is painful, but again, we didn't expect Arizona State to be in this situation at the beginning of the year. If you would have said that they were one play away from advancing to the semifinals, you would have easily taken that. So it was a hell of a season from Arizona State. But for all the non-Arizona State fans, I would love to hear your thoughts on this play in the comments below. I want to hear if you think this is targeting or if you think the referees did the right call swallowing their whistles. Maybe my bias is just showing and I think that Arizona State just got screwed by everyone. From what I've seen, it really sounds like the consensus is that Arizona State got screwed. So again, if you're a non-Arizona State fan, I would love to hear your thoughts on the non-targeting call and this game as a whole in the comments below, because I think that's the worst part as well. Something I didn't even touch upon. Arizona State's comeback was so freaking insane. This was an insane comeback. Everyone's saying this is one of the greatest playoff games we've had over the last decade. It was an incredible game. But yet for me, instead of rewatching the highlights and always just thinking back of what an amazing game this was, anytime I see highlights or anything revolving this game, it's going to make me sad. So I'm bummed about that because if Arizona State would have pulled this off, this is going to be one of the greatest games, I've ever watched, and I'm always going to remember for the rest of my life. Now, I'm still going to remember this game for the rest of my life, but not for all the right reasons. So yeah, I'm still in mourning talking about this game. I mean, it really hurts. You guys can relate to this as well. You guys can relate to being a fan of your school. The losses just seem to hurt more. So yeah, that's probably going to do it for me, guys. I've said everything I want to say. I'm in mourning. I'm probably going to go cry some more and try to wipe this game out of my memories. If you guys haven't done so yet, make sure to drop a like on this video. It helps out with that YouTube algorithm. It helps share the video and my channel with more college football fans. And if you're new to my channel, I'm talking college football almost every day. A lot of great content coming this offseason. If you're a college football fan, this is definitely the channel for you. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate each and every one of you that tune into my videos. Thank you so much, and I'll see you all in my next video.